guys, welcome to another Saturday Shenanigans with yours truly. Tonight we are taking Ireland to her first concert, and it brought up the idea of the different things that the different bands that I've seen over the years, and like the different local talent and stuff like that. My first real concert experience, I'm going to use concert in finger quotes right now, is in high school. I had some friends who knew some people that were in a band, and their band was, of course, like one of those local thrash metal, hardcore, scream bands. Not screamo bands. There's a big difference between scream rock and screamo. They were in a couple of Battle of the Bands, so I saw them there. They played a couple of the 16 and over clubs that were in the area, if you want to call that. We used to play pool at a place that they would play at a lot. Arsenic was their name, and two shows come to mind. They were a Battle of the Band shows, and one of them. So the way they, if you've never been to a local Battle of the Bands, you basically usually had like a couple of judges, and like the bands would play and the judges would judge. Well, after one of the Battle of the Bands, this band that really had no, like, they sounded okay, don't get me wrong, but they were not at the caliber of the rest of the bands, and they won, and we couldn't figure out why. And we found out that the lead singer's girlfriend was one of the judges, and no one had known. So, yeah, there was a big backlash with that, and by backlash, I mean small riot. There was kind of messed up one of the local establishments, I guess you could call it. I don't remember. They called it the Teen Center at the time. And they shut the Teen Center down, refused to let anybody else back in because of it. I saw Arsenic play a couple more times after that. And then when I met Summer, the summer of 2000, there was a local pop top 40 station called Z104. And they had a summer concert type thing where they had a bunch of bands playing all day long on like two stages. It wasn't like one stage was more or less like a DJ, and then the other stage was for their main performers and stuff. And so we went, and Summer face painted us up with the Z104, and like, we love Z104 and those type of things. And when we got to the gate, we're waiting to go in, and this guy comes up to us and goes, "Hey, do you guys like BB Mac?" Which was one of the bands playing. And if you don't know who BB Mac is, they were like a boy band back in the like early 2000s. They had like one or two hits. I don't remember. But we saw them. They gave us backstage tickets, or like backstage passes, to see them. So we went backstage and we met the band, and they seemed like really nice guys. The other people there were all like, "Oh my god," the fangirling thing, but like, I wasn't like a huge fan, so I wasn't like, "Oh my god, I'm freaking out," or whatever. It was just nice. Shook their hands and went on our way. But there was a couple of bands that night there. It was really cool to see. We saw Train when they first started playing. It was like right after Meet Virginia, and they told the story of they had flown from Chicago into DC, but their flight was delayed in Chicago. They had to wait, and where they were sitting was at the end of one of the moving sidewalks. So for 2.5-3 hours, that's all they heard over and over was, "The moving sidewalk is coming to an end. The moving sidewalk is coming to an end." And he told that story at the beginning of the set about how like kind of jet laggy he was, and and then halfway through like one of the songs, he stopped, the whole band stopped, and he goes, "The moving sidewalk is coming to an end." And I thought that was funny. We also saw Good Charlotte for the first time. Actually, the only time we've seen Good Charlotte, but we saw Good Charlotte, and I learned about Good Charlotte for the first time. If you don't know who Good Charlotte is, they are, I would say, probably the most successful local band. Literally right out of Waldorf. The twins and their good lead guitarist were playing an acoustic set, and that was really cool. They were like, "Hey, we're from Waldorf," and we're like, "What? They're from Waldorf? Woo, Waldorf!" And they sung a couple of their songs, and then they started getting airplay on the local stations and stuff, and especially DC 101 played their stuff for a while. And I'll get back to DC 101 in a second. DC 101 is a local rock station, and it's been a rock station for as long as I can remember. But the Z104, Z for All is what they called it, It was headlined by Savage Garden, and if you don't remember Savage Garden, then you're probably not old enough to remember any of the other bands I've mentioned. After that, I was like, man, we gotta go see something else. So a couple years later, with DC 101 had a chili cook-off. It was a big thing where they blocked off a couple streets in DC, and they had this big chili cook-off. And during this time, they were like, we're doing a contest where one local band will open the chili cook-off. And so we were listening to like the different bands and stuff. And the one that won was this band called Rude Buddha. So we went, when we were there at the chili cook-off, we didn't stay for long, but we stayed for Rude Buddha, Less Than Ezra, and the Bloodhound Gang. Those were the three that we stayed for. There was a lot of things going on around us. Like I was in my cart at the time and I got knocked over because of a mosh pit that just suddenly broke out during Better Than Ezra. And if you've ever heard Better Than Ezra's music, you're like, why would they be moshing? And we're like, we don't know. People are stupid. So we could only handle that so much, but Rude Buddha, we really liked them, and they're like, hey, follow us on Facebook, or no, it was follow us on MySpace. So we're like, sure, why not? They're a local band, maybe we could go see a couple of their shows or whatever. We started following them on MySpace. That tells you how old these stories are. And then the first show after the cook-off was at this small little place called Jam and Java, and it's literally like a coffee shop, bar, stage. Not very big, not a lot of room. We should just go out and check them out, see what they are like. So we went to go see Rude Buddha at Jam and Java. Their opening band, Black Box Morning, was great. They had these. It was just something about their energy level and their kind of goofiness and their after their set, we were like, we gotta go grab a CD or something. So we really kind of dug their sound, and we're like, we're gonna have to follow these guys on MySpace too. So during the Rude Buddha show was great. We've became fans, like major fans that night. It was a really cool show. After that, we started kind of stalking Black Box. We would go to some of their shows. They started doing less shows because their bassist had some major medical issues go down. I got a chance to go see Real Big Fish at the 930 Club. So when a friend of mine was like, hey, Real Big Fish is going to be at 930 Club, would you be interested? I was like, I only know like one of their songs, Sell Out. Everybody knows Sell Out. So I was like, yeah, I think that'd be kind of fun. And their opening bands, there was two. There was Zoloft the Rock and Roll Destroyer, and El Puss. Now, El Puss came on second, and I'm going to mention them first for a reason. El Puss was a this new rock, like rap rock kind of mix to it. It was really cool. I nabbed one of their CDs. They were fun. They were fun on stage. They made fun of this guy in the back who was kind of like just sitting there like this and kind of like all like trying to act all hard and stuff. They called him out on it. It was hilarious. And then Zoloft, like I said, Zoloft had come out first. They came out and they did their sound check, and then they started playing. And before they even got to the chorus of the first song, they had this guy up there with a cowbell banging it, and he was kind of jumping, and he attempted a stage dive. And being the first song, before the chorus of the first song, the audience had none of it and just separated, and that's all you heard was the thump of him hitting the ground and everybody going ooh. And then there was like a pause, and then he got back up and brushed himself off and went back up on stage, and they kept playing. It was also the show that I got assaulted by a 10-year-old. I was sitting off on the side in my wheelchair, and there's like this mosh pit going on during the Real Big Fish concert, and this kid comes out, and as he's coming out, I happen to see him coming, like he's in like my front peripheral. I'm like paying attention to the band, and he's coming out, and he trips because some jerk tripped him, and then he trips and he comes right at me, and he kind of puts his arms up, bracing to like fall on his face, and he scuffs and trips again, basically, in his forearm, whacks me across my nose. And I shoot back at him, and it wasn't his fault. I know it wasn't his fault. And he gets the look of, like, the fear of God in his face. Color escapes from his, like, his cheeks go white, and his eyes kind of dilate, and he kind of, like, shrugs back. He's expecting me to beat the living crap out of him. But I'm just like, go on. And I got, like, blood trickling down my face. I'm like, this sucks so bad. But it was a really good show. Real Big Fish put on a good concert. They have this one song, Suburban Rock, or Suburban Radio, SR, as it's mentioned as. They play it in, like, 7 or 8 different genres. They've, like, it's like 3 lines to a song that they stop, and then they sing it again in a different genre. This is a really good show. Let's see. After the 9:30 club, we started, like I said, we were stalking Black Box, so we'd seen them like 3 or 4 times at different venues and stuff, and we'd actually become kind of like friends with the lead singer and bassist. We'd gone to like 3 or 4 of their shows, different places, and a couple of places I felt bad for them because it felt like they played in a hotel, like, lobby area, like a hotel bar, and it was like 5 people other than us in there. And we were like, dang, they deserve better than this. And then they played, there's a place in Waldorf called My Brother's Place, or it used to be a place in Waldorf called My Brother's Place, which it was, it's known as kind of like a quote Christian, in quote Christian club, where musicians come and play, and because of that, Jeremy, the lead singer of Black Box, Jeremy had changed the song of one of their songs. Their one song was called Domination, which was about his love of his girlfriend dominating him. And it's done kind of like in a tongue-in-cheek, kind of like in a funny kind of way. Well, he changed the song from Domination to Revelation because they were in a Christian club. And he made that known. He was like, normally in this part of our set we would sing Domination, but because we don't feel like that's that would fit the bill here, we've changed it to Revelations. And he sings. They just said it's the funniest. I wish we'd gotten that recorded because it was one of those moments where I don't know. I never got around to ask him if he had written the lyrics beforehand or just kind of made it up as he went along. It was hilarious. We would go out to all their shows and help them sell merchandise and hang out at the table and talk with people and stuff. And we really had a good time with those guys. One of the other times that we saw Black Box was with Rude Buddha at a New Year's party. It was a Mardi Gras place in D.C. It was like I don't remember the name of the bar now. I just said it last night. We were talking about it. We get there at 9 o'clock, and there's people that have been there for a very, very long time. And I know we were going to be there for the rest of the night, so I kind of like dig in for the long haul. These people were trashed. This one couple in particular, I'll get to them in a second. But so Black Box got up and they played their set, and Rude Buddha got up and they were doing their set. And in the middle of one of the songs, he's got like a cigarette hanging out. The lead singer, Aaron's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. And this lady gets up on stage and he's like, "You guys are so good." And he's like, "Thank you." And she's like, "You should sing." And she reaches for his cigarette and he's like, "No." And kind of like snaps at her. He's like, "No. And no one touches my cigarettes." Oh yeah, that was a long night. That lady was trashed. Her and her whatever he was, boyfriend, fiance, husband, whatever, they were trashed. And then one of the last times we saw, I don't remember the last time, I think one of the last time we saw Black Box was at Jam and Java. It was just a small show, and their bassist, who I mentioned earlier, had some medical problems. He had come back for that show, not to play unfortunately, but just to be there in support of the band. And it was really weird because he's like, "Yeah, I heard you guys have been like real supportive of the band and thanks." And it was real cool to hear that as a fan. And then years go along and I don't remember anything after them, to be perfectly honest. I don't remember if I had seen anybody else since then. The last time we saw Rude Buddha was just a couple years ago actually. It was kind of like their reunion show. It was just a one-time thing at Jam and Java. It's kind of like a everybody's back in town, let's just play one more time type thing together. It was a really cool show. The Aaron, the lead singer, he had his one daughter was 7 at the time, or 7 or 8, and he's like, I'm gonna have her get up on stage, and I'm gonna have her stage dive for the very first time. That was pretty cool. Those are the different bands that I've seen over the years and different places that I've seen that, and that's today's Shenanigans. I really would love, now that Ireland's getting into music a little nicer, and we're taking her to see Set It Off at the Fillmore, which is actually another place that I've heard a lot of good things about. So hopefully we'll have a good night. If they're as good as she says they are, I think we're going to have a pretty good time. So let me know if you guys like some maybe local bands, or maybe not even local bands that you guys have seen over the years at different places. I know there's a lot of people out there that go see like certain bands because they grew up listening to them, and I think it's really cool. I never got that kind of chance to go see it sounds stupid, but the Stones played last week at DC. And I'm like, that would be really cool, but they're not like, the Rolling Stones now aren't like the same Rolling Stones that they were before, and that's because they're old as dirt and they shouldn't be touring anymore. But it'd be really cool just to go, yeah, I went and saw the Stones. I said that about Ozzy Osbourne years ago when he was still touring. I was like, it'd be kind of neat just to go, yeah, I went and saw Ozzy. Yeah, comment down below in the basement and let me know of any bands that you've seen, or any bands, maybe some local bands. Let's start pushing some local band stuff that you guys enjoy in your own little areas or whatnot. So, alright guys, until then, this has been Saturday Shenanigans. Bye.